skillful football is concerned.
Walters. Stevens to Ferguson. That's a better ball to Monroe. Does very well, he scored! Oh, very good goal by Monroe.
Now, your manager was talking to me about the modern player. He was emphasizing the qualities of one of your younger players here, Ian Ferguson, a midfield player. Yes. And I'm likening him in some ways, not exactly, but in some ways to Brian Robson. You know, that explosive energy they have on the edge of the box and penetrating. Is that the mould for the future, that sort of thing?
Yes, I think so. I think very much so. You look at Brian Robson, and he's respected throughout the world as far as the football is concerned, and rightly so. He's done a remarkable job for Manchester United and England. And Ian's done a very, very good job for us. And he is that sort of player. I think Ian probably does it more in fits and spurts rather than Brian does it over 90 minutes. But Ian is very, very explosive and a very, very useful member of our team.
Bounce towards Martin. With that shot, McCoy's, and Ferguson done it. Brilliantly taken.
But Rangers had reversed a transfer flow. Now it was south to north, and players like Chris Woods and Terry Butcher were the first expensive converts. But it continued this season at that level with Mel Sterling's transfer from Sheffield Wednesday.
We've seen these lads play all season here at a very, very high standard. And if you can play a high standard in Scotland, you'll coast through a game in England. Because the game here is so much quicker and so much more demanding. In England, you get more time to have a look at the game and you tend to be able to read the game slightly better. Here, everything happens so quickly, and you have to be on top of your game. If you're not on top of your game, then you'll struggle badly. And I think our lads have been an absolute credit this year.
Well, that's not a bad ball there. A great goal, Sterling.
Do you think English football is going to be stunted if they cannot get into a wider European dimension quickly?
I think you can see already that our game has stood still because they can't play European football. And I think it's very, very sad as well. I also feel that the European competitions have lost a bit of face as well. We had a marvellous record in European football. Unfortunately, we don't play no more. And I really think it's beginning to tell now. As far as you look at the international scene, for instance, we had a marvellous result against Albania. But we've got to keep on winning games. And when you're not playing against the best in Europe, it's very, very difficult to maintain that standard and see what you've actually got to play against. We here in Scotland, we've had the benefit of playing, and the Scottish lads are now putting their side together. The Scottish team is doing exceptionally well.
What about the future? Do you want to stay on in Scotland, or would you like to move again?
Well, Graham and Walter have very kindly offered me another 18 months on the 6 months that I have left on my contract. I think we'll get that sorted out. There shouldn't be any problems there. But after that's over, then I'll definitely head back to London then. We've been away now for 11 years from London. And I know it's only an hour down the road, but we both come from big families, my wife and I, and it would be nice to get back and see them occasionally. But over the, that would make it 13 years if I stayed. 13 years away from your hometown, really, which is a long, long time. And we feel it's time we get back anyway. But hopefully the next 2 years will be as good as the last 18 months.
Celtic prepared quietly at Seamill, and the only question still to be answered is, will they take a chance on Andy Walker? At Ibrox, it became clear that Ray Wilkins had lost his battle to be fit for the Cup final. The good news for the Rangers faithful was the disclosure that their highly successful management team have extended their contract with the club till 1994. The announcement that Walter Smith and Graham Souness are to stick together at Rangers well into the next decade was timed to perfection. It gives the team a great lift on the eve of the Cup final and offsets the disappointment of losing Ray Wilkins for Hampden. The far-travelled 32-year-old was a big part of the Ibrox planning.
Yeah, Ray Wilkins is not going to make it tomorrow. He has been given every opportunity to make it, but unfortunately it's his Achilles, which, as everyone knows, is a bad healer. And he misses that. Unfortunate for the boy, because at 32 there won't be too many more cup finals he can play in.
Wilkins to Monroe, playing it through for Wilkins. McCoist, absolutely magnificent.
Ray's done great for us since he's been at this club. He's done tremendously well for us. We knew he'd do well, but he's been quite outstanding in his time here. And in saying that, we've got a couple of other players that can come in and do a similar job, and I'm sure tomorrow they'll do that.
Presumably, Derek Ferguson becomes even more of an important player to you now.
Yeah, Fergie comes into contention, obviously. He's the one that plays a similar style to both Ray and myself, so he is a strong contender tomorrow, yeah.
Will you be figuring in a playing sense?
That's something I have to look at. I'm one of the squad of 15. I have a chance of being sub tomorrow. It depends if they pick me or not.
January, you remember we sat here and talked about it. I think he'll be talking about it tomorrow night. Obviously, he doesn't want to go into that at the moment. It's a very, very important game. But, you know, no matter how much planning there is for this particular fixture, it's amazing how it's decided on the bounce of a ball, a penalty, whatever. If you go back to 1973, when Rangers last beat Celtic in a final, Tom Forsyth miskicked from about 6 inches out and scored the winner. Celtic won with a debatable penalty in 1977. In 1980, it was a fluky goal. Danny McGrain had a shot from 30 yards and George McCluskey stuck out a foot. The ball ended up in the back of the net. A lot of planning goes into it, but it could be that bounce of the ball again tomorrow.
My friendly neighbourhood bookmaker tells me 11 to 10 Rangers, 11 to 5 Celtic. Will it be as close as that?
I think the bookmakers are perhaps being a wee bit harsh on Celtic because they have a tremendous record in this competition. Record winners going for a 29th tomorrow. They'll fight Rangers all of the way. But I think Rangers have more quality and I think they have more players who can score goals. They also have a better defence than Celtic. But I think from midfield, the likes of Ian Ferguson will be a big threat for Rangers. Of course, McCoist and Drinkle up front. And Mark Walters, I think, can be the star of the show. And I honestly believe that his clash with Chris Morris, a lot will depend on the outcome of that, but I think it could be Mark Walters' day.
No Wilkins for Rangers. It looks like no Walker for Celtic.
I think that's right. I think Walker will miss the game. I don't think Billy McNeill will want to take the chance. He did the same thing with Peter Grant last year, you remember, in the final. There was a doubt and he left him out. Obviously, the loss of Wilkins is quite significant, but Rangers are blessed with Derek Ferguson. He's a smashing young player and he tends to play very well at Hampden Park.
OK, you're clearly going for Rangers. Just before we go, Jimmy Bone, I hear, has been appointed as the new manager of Airdrie. Good news for Broomfield?
I think so, yes. He left his mark at St Mirren, as we all know, and he'll liven up the dressing room at Airdrie. He had that spell with Dundee United, but Paul Sturrock will get the job when Jim McLean decides to step down, although wee Jim will be there next season. No fears about that.
Scotland Cup, we won the league championship, and really I want my players to forget about those two things. We've done very well up to this point, and Saturday could really be the icing on the cake. The championship is a priority. This is one that I've never won, either in England or up here. I've never done particularly well in it up here. We're now in the final. I'm just hoping that we go out on Saturday and my players are as hungry as the opposition will be, because we've hurt them badly this year. Their pride will be dented. They feel they owe us one. But if my players go out and are willing to put the same amount of effort in as Celtic will, then I'm quite willing to accept the outcome.
There's one question I think a number of fans would like to know. You got any tickets spare?
No. That's one of the reasons we came down here, and even coming down here, we've not entirely escaped from it, but we've escaped from most of it. But what I'm looking